Gaius, the most renowned Rizzler and Sage, maxes out his level with Magician-class Crest. After wiping out the demons and defeating all the powerful dragons, he gets bored and restarts his life as Matthias. He gets the desired warrior-class crests, but learns that humanity's magical knowledge has declined due to demon interventions. Now he must save the world and advance their civilization, all while picking up the perfect girls for his harem. However, before any of this, the strongest sage, Gaius, picks a fight with the Dragon King to cure his boredom. However, like his previous battles, the Dragon King's puny flames prove no match for his spell casting. He effortlessly evades its attack and uses a powerful spell to end its life. After the battle, Gaia's creation crest reaches its fullest potential, leaving no room to grow. The crests appear after birth and cannot be changed. Amongst the 4 crests, Gaius wants the crest suited for combat. He takes a gamble of a lifetime literally to reincarnate himself into the future and hopefully get his favorite tattoo. In the future, Gaius reincarnates as Matthias Hildesheimer, who is traveling to the royal capital for the Magical Academy entrance exam. He has achieved his goal and obtained the 4th crest. However, for some reason, the driver says it will be impossible for him to pass the exam. Suddenly, a calamity-level monster intercepts their path. Before the driver can move a muscle, Matthias sends it to a tea party in hell.
Go to hell.
After reaching the capital, he finds a local blacksmith shop to buy a word. There he sees Alma, a girl so flat that you can play chess bickering with the shopkeeper for whatever reasons females have. She wants him to make and enhance a top-notch sword for her friend within the next few hours. Matthias overhears the shopkeeper wishing to hit the grave, forcing him to chip in. The shopkeeper appreciates him for trying to raise a girl in a blacksmith's shop, but grabs him back to reality. However, the girl believes his words and bets a magical stone on him. Before getting on her knees for business, Alma claims her noble father was going to sell her off to some fatso weirdo, which made her escape. She quickly gets touchy with him and says that her friend escaped with her to forge their futures. Suddenly, her friend Luri, another rogue noble, enters the shop. Matthias, now known as Maddie, lays eyes on Luri and loses his demon lord vibe. He awkwardly introduces himself, leaving Alma confused. Luri also feels raised up by his swagger and makes sure to state that she's single and ready to mingle. He takes a few seconds to enchant the sword without an incarnation, leading everyone to suspect his word. She picks up the sword and accidentally slices through the table without an effort. The shopkeeper offers him a job, but Maddie has better things to do. On the exam day, Luri tests out her sword against an opponent. The boy intends on unleashing his special move, not realizing his sword has been fudged. The examiner and Knight Captain Guile, who spends his salary on a hairstylist.
Your hair is beautiful, Beverly. Oh.
Decides to test Maddie's skills. Maddie takes his open stance as an insult to his abilities. It takes Maddie a few strikes with enhancement magic to teach Guile about the MC and his plot armor perks, leaving everyone in awe. Luri celebrates like vegans started eating meat without catching a glimpse of their fight. Next up, the student's magic aptitude is tested with target practice. Luri chants a paragraph to cast a simple fireball spell. Maddie knows that incantation can allow any magician to use basic spells regardless of their talents. However, the magic conversation rate and the time it takes to complete the chant can leave you open for an attack. Unexpectedly, the Crest of Glory previously held by Maddie is considered the strongest, while the crest he killed himself for is referred to as the Crest of Failure. The teacher pities Maddie for possessing the 4th crest, saying he can pass if his average performance hits a certain mark. However, Maddie tells the teacher to step back. He casts a fireball spell, leaving a crater in the ground. On the first day of school, Maddie is mesmerized after seeing Luri in the school uniform.
Wow.
Alma breaks the awkward stare off, reminding them about the opening ceremony. Edward, the head of the 2nd Magic Academy, welcomes them to the academy. He hates long speeches, so Edward tells them to practice hard and calls it a day. Before leaving, he singles out Maddie, asking him to stop by the principal's office. At the office door, Maddie worries if destroying the training ground and repairing it afterward with wordless magic would get him expelled. The principal sneaks up on him and takes him inside where the teachers are gathered. Edward wants to make the students learn wordless magic. Maddie wishes him good luck and wants to crash for the day. However, Edward informs him that wordless magic is a lost art. The Matrix, created by the 1st Magic Academy filled with whack-jobs nobles who prioritize crests over talents, has monopolized the syllabus. They can normalize wordless magic by proving it in the upcoming Inter-Magic Academy competitions. At this point, he has no choice but to accept Edward's proposal. First off, he begins teaching wordless spells to his fellow class. Some students with lower crests quickly grasp the concept, but someone like Luri, possessing the Crest of Glory, finds it difficult. For her, it's like learning how to walk all over again. He gently grabs her hands to transfer his magical energy, allowing Luri to succeed. After a month of beating the system, Maddie participates in the Inter-Magic Academy competition. Luri tells him the first academy has won it 65 times in a row. Whenever there are chances of them winning, a magical chosen one ruins everything. The chosen ones are nobles with the first crest and insane magic capacity. He scans the area to learn that a magical chosen one is in the arena. This mysterious guy has 10 times more magical power than him. In his first match, he faced off against the chosen one Devilius with his 2 lackeys in the back. Maddie takes care of the backseat drivers with a single spell. However, Devilius casts a barrier spell without using chance. This far in the game, Maddie realizes that Devilius is a demon with mana reserves surpassing his. During the fight, he concludes that demons infiltrated the first magic academy and cracked their education system. They convinced the humans that chanting spells was the only method of casting spells, keeping them weak. Maddie uses his cast spell Shatter to dispel his disguise, revealing his identity to the world. Devilius intends to escape with his wings. However, Maddie calculates the time it would take for him to take off and attack before it. Everyone in the stands speechless, seeing that Maddie took down a demon. While the adults feel scared to touch a dead demon's body, Luri boldly hugs him to take advantage of poor little Maddie. Minutes later, Alma reminds her that Maddie might slam a lawsuit in her face, leaving her flustered. Afterward, he asks Edward why everyone's celebrating like they won the FIFA World Cup. He tells him that no one in history has defeated a demon single-handedly. This feat of Maddie's earns him an audience with the top G himself. First and foremost, the king apologizes for not rewarding Maddie with nobility and land because the matter of demons is private. Maddie takes this opportunity to claim all rights over the dungeon underneath their academy. The materials from a dungeon make it more valuable than a gold mine. After settling the reward issue, the king reveals that the other 4 magical chosen have vanished from sight, meaning they were demons. The most concerning thing is that the magical chosen ones appeared centuries ago. The demons have been a part of society for centuries, declining their magical studies by a lot. Maddie fears their retreat is not a good sign for the kingdom. He believes they will attack the kingdom in the next 3 months. The king and Edward are losing their balls over these predictions as they won't be prepared for the battle. However, Maddie thinks it will be plenty of time. He will need 1 month to create a barrier around the city using divine-class magical items. The king grants him access to everything, including his private chamber to keep the queen some company. However, the Brookie Kingdom has no mats that can be used to create the barrier. Upon going through the scraps, Maddie finds an old enchanted sword he made before reincarnation. He also takes a pendant made in his previous life that helps boost experience points. On that note, he returns to the second Magic Academy, where his newbie students get the hang of wordless casting. Maddie tells Alma and Luri about collecting mats for the barrier construction from the dungeon. He awkwardly asks if they would like to become his party members. Their silence makes him feel embarrassed. However, they don't want to hold him back, making them hesitate. Alma can't properly swing a sword, but her bow skills are decent. All of her life, she's been told that bows can't be used in combat. He doesn't understand why people in this age would listen to the history slaves. He claims that a bow and sword are good weapons to use in battle. He displays a shooting technique that enhances the attack's effects by infusing magic power inside the arrow. He claims the principles of the attack are similar to enhancements. Luri breaks into his personal space, leaving no chance to get his tool. She wants to learn enchantments and support him on and off the battlefield. On that note, he takes them under the academy where the dungeon gate is located. Maddie gives them Dungeon 101, explaining how monsters get stronger in the lower floors. At the first floor, he sniffs out a monster for Alma to practice her shooting. She replicates his technique to wipe out the minorities. He also teaches her how to control the trajectory of an arrow mid-flight, allowing her to change its directions using a thread. Maddie tells her to practice this spell until Alma can kill 2 birds with stone. Before parting ways, he teaches them about collecting magic stones. For him, it's like teaching a bunch of monkeys how to do calculus. After Alma leaves for practice, Luri senses the opportunity to get close to him. She wants to enchant his tools as soon as possible. However, Maddie claims there is something else that she needs to do first. He explains that enchanters need to craft their own weapons for offense and defense. Luri fears she'd have to serve under a blacksmith for years. But Maddie tells her that her weapons don't need to be perfect. They walk close to a wall where Maddie unleashes his shattering spell. He tells Luri to use the mats and refine them into ores. He guides her every step of the way and is surprised to see her succeed on the first try. Upon seeing her growth rate, Maddie decides to teach her craftsmanship and enchanting all in one go. On the other hand, Alma successfully kills 3 monsters with 1 arrow, allowing her to return. She wonders if Luri would have learned useful skills besides using her head. Unexpectedly, she finds her slicking through walls like they are cakes. With Luri's new weapons, Alma believes no monster coming their way would stand a chance. Maddie affirms this fact, informing them their skills are ready for floor 10. On that floor, their party encounters a group of parasites that Luri finds hard to kill. Alma quickly intervenes and destroys them with an arrow. Afterward, a monster with thick skin blocks Alma's arrows. This time, Luri crafts a new magical arrow for Alma to destroy the monster. Maddie is happy to see their skills grow at a rapid rate. He thanks his former self for creating a magical artifact that uses the magic power of dead monsters to boost the experience gained. Suddenly, a three-eyed killer dog comes to hunt for food. He warns them that the dog is stronger than any monster they have defeated. Alma tries to shoot with an arrow, but the monster dodges. The situation forces Luri to support Alma with her fire magic, creating the perfect opening for them to kill the monster. Maddie calls it a day and creates a barrier for them to rest in. He asks them to wait for his return from the 25th floor, since most of the mats for the barrier are located in the deeper floors. They are both shocked, claiming the lowest a party has ever gone is 23 floors with the help of the god of magic Gaius. He thinks it's a coincidence that they refer to him as God. On the 25th floor, he finds the necessary material for the barrier. However, his curiosity is intrigued by a floor boss near him. Maddie knows his magic power isn't even comparable to an average human mage of his time. However, he is eager to test out the power of his fourth crest. Firstly, he clears the area, creating a path for the boss to appear. But the monster chooses the next turn on the street and ruins his plan. Nonetheless, Maddie starts off by striking with a sword but only hurts one of its scales. He uses an ancient technique swordsmen of his time love that requires a person to destroy a magic stone. His sword absorbs the dense magic power to land a heavy striker. Maddie then baits and becomes his lunch to blast it from the inside, creating a loud bang that reaches the 10th floor. After filling his inventory, he returns to the 10th floor to show his skills and rise the girls. They take the findings to the Adventurers Guild, which looks more like a middle-aged orphanage filled with brookies. The local adventurers start staring at their non-curvy bodies, making them uncomfortable. The guild lady apologizes for their cringe stares but claims there is a reason for it. Recently, a lot of Second Academy students have been completing monster-slaying quests. Unbeknownst to them, the man responsible for the standing has blessed them with his presence. Maddie interrupts the irrelevant chit-chat and comes down to business. He asks the guild lady to exchange magic stones obtained from the dungeon. She passes a smart bum comment, saying the crest of failure must have relied on the two pretty girls. This forces him to display his loot and an ancient storing spell. After buying the mats for 750 gold coins, the guild is left broke as hell. During their walk back, Maddie decides to split the reward money 3 ways. Alma claims that money is distributed according to individual contributions, but he wouldn't know about this since his past self died a virgin. Back on the road, he senses 2 demons approaching the Second Academy. One's strength is on the lower side, but the other is stronger than Devilius. He intends on handling the stronger one, obviously, and asks the ladies to be useful for once. They need to stall the weaker demon until Maddie takes out the trash. The demons chillingly debate methods to destroy the city. Suddenly, he sneaks up on the fatso, but his sword is blocked with one hand. The slim version attacks with an advanced fire spell and calls it a day. However, Maddie pranks him by taking control of his spell and reflecting it back. He needs to steal their magic power to compensate for his lack of mana. At the same time, Alma hits the other one with Minecraft enchanted arrows, causing his mana to debuff. The cheap version of Darkside orders the demon to clap the girls, thinking he's in control of the battle. He intends on ending the game with a banger spell, but Maddie destroys the casting circle before the spell activates. The two of them go neck and neck in a sword battle. However, the demon can't be complacent due to the lack of competition and has gone rusty. Still, he compensates for the lack of sword skills by attacking Maddie with a concealed spell. Being quick on his feet, he dodges the spell without a scratch. But his control spheres are stored. The demon realizes that retreating is the safest option. Suddenly, Maddie's trap card activates, and thus the demon is immobilized. On the ground, the demon intends on using a secret spell exclusive to demons, allowing them to sacrifice part of their lifespan to summon a horde of monsters. Luckily, Maddie had taken precautions for this and killed the demon before things got hectic. On the other hand, the girls act as the annoying snipers, jumping from building to building after taking a shot. This gives Maddie enough time to swoop in. He plays his cards right by scaring a demon with a one-shot kill spell. However, in his current state, Maddie can only initiate the activation of that spell. He uses Alma's arrows to boost his speed and kill the demon. The showdown grabs the attention of a mob, forcing Maddie to take the 2 girls and make a run for it. Later at the king's castle, they are summoned for their heroics and reward distributions. Maddie, the dungeon-loving god, demands more dungeons, which makes the king question his tool's condition. While Alma selfishly asks for some deep pockets since you don't have enough money, Luri follows her stupid friend and asks for the same thing. Afterwards, he stands up and starts talking to the air, making everyone think that Maddie has gone nuts. He addresses the demon keeping watch on them, claiming his presence has been found. Maddie shakes him with a shock spell, making the demon grunt and severing the room's connection. Edward and the king claim that the voice was similar to their knight captain who has been missing for a few days. In the meantime, Maddie deduces the exact distance from which the transmission spell was being casted. He learns that they are ruins of an ancient village destroyed by the demons centuries ago. He wants to travel there as soon as possible, but a teleportation spell of the fourth crest won't cover the distance. He claims the spell to be useless, making the people question the Matrix. With no choice left, he takes them outside of town into the mountains to cash in a favor from a friend, a dragon friend to be precise. Maddie fought Iris, the darkness dragon, in his previous life, but she gave up quickly. Ever since then, they have been good friends. He walks in her territory expecting a fight. However, Iris offers him a chance to escape. When Maddie refuses to comply, she activates the dragon's breath. As usual, he shatters the casting circle, which gives away his identity as Gaius, who is currently known as the god of magic. Iris grovels before him and begs for her life. He tells her to keep quiet about his identity and give him a lift. Unfortunately, Iris can't fly due to her wings being torn apart. She reveals that 5,000 years ago, after his reincarnation, the magical generators built by the humans exploded, sending them to the Stone Age. He quickly fixes the wings like they were damaged. On that note, they switch back to human speech, which gives her a chance to communicate with the girls. After taking off, he tells her the distance and direction of their destination. Maddie also tells her to fly as fast as their frail human bodies can endure. Just as she is about to put the pedal to the metal, he casts a shield spell and stops her. Before probably dying, he asks how much heat she is about to turn on. She tells him that her calculations are based on his friend from the previous era, who is known as the Sword God. He realizes she was about to flump them off by hitting top speed. Maddie tells her to go 1% of the speed she was thinking about since they can't handle more. They reach the village on the same day. Maddie sends the guard demon on a picnic with the devil. The girls are impressed by this showing of superiority. Iris is just painfully glad to be his ally. She crashes the landing due to lack of practice, but luckily, no one dies. He informs them that there are 2 demons inside the buildings. One is the infamous Erhard, the former knight captain, while the other one is much stronger than him. After entering the ruins, he tells them to lead the charge against Erhard. Maddie is forced to motivate them by useless speeches, a complete waste of his time. They reach an empty room with no sign of an insect. Using telepathy, he tells them that Erhard is chilling in this room with an invisible spell. He breaks the disguise, but the stupid lazy fudge doesn't notice it. Alma literally stands there for minutes with an arrow aimed at his head, but gets no response. She fires the arrow, which makes him dodge. However, she controls the arrow and hits him. Erhard assumes Maddie is faking his identity since the real one would instantly dispose of him, and so he doesn't take the fight seriously. As Erhard and Maddie exchange swords, Alma hits him with enchanted arrows. He boasts about his physical endurance, claiming arrows don't affect him. Suddenly, Maddie dodges his attacks, making Erhard realize the situation. Maddie reveals that Alma's enchanted arrow has a toxin that disrupts his magic flow. This forces Erhard to unleash another exclusive spell that allows demons to use unimaginable amounts of mana in exchange for their life force. Maddie gets scared, knowing his current magic power is insufficient to deal with the threat. He tells the girls to run for their lives, but Erhard catches up to them. Unbeknownst to him, what he runs after is nothing more than illusions filled with toxins, which allows him to meet the devil. He compliments them for passing his tests with flying colors. However, they must leave the village and escape with Iris, as the other demon is much stronger. When they leave, Maddie shatters 3 magic stones to fill the air with dense mana. This is an ancient method to summon a mist-type demon in its real form. He apologizes to Ares for using a brute's method to make him reveal his true form. The demon realizes Maddie is more of a beast than the demons assumed, although he claims his power to be superior to Erhard. In an instant, he closes the distance between them and attacks. With enhancement magic, Maddie barely blocks the attack but loses an arm from the next attack. Ares, overconfident, asks him to choose his death. Unbeknownst to him, Maddie baited him into taking his arm. He had infused healing and analysis magic beforehand, allowing him to grow it back. Furthermore, he completely analyzes Ares' magic nature to predict his attacks. Aside from it, he also manages to attack him with a toxin, making Ares feel the heat. He activates an advanced version of the demonic spell that doesn't suck on his life. However, he just snaps his finger like Thanos and cancels out his spell like a Netflix subscription. Ares skips the 5-minute explanation and activates another spell, but Maddie does the same thing with it, leaving him helpless. Eventually, he informs him that his analysis spell allows him to understand his magic and prepare a counterattack. Furthermore, the attack which landed on Ares wasn't the same toxin that killed Erhard. It is a spell that will force him to suck in more mana from the air than his body can handle. Maddie breaks another magic stone to increase the density of magic power in the air, making him explode. The explosion causes a pillar to reveal itself from underground. Maddie tells the girls that demons plan to use this device to summon 5,000 dungeon level 10 monsters plus a boss to attack the capital. The girls panic like they usually do in these kinds of situations and ask Maddie to rush back to the capital. He chills them down, informing them that the explosion caused the direction of the spawn area to shift at least by 6 miles. This will give him enough time to repel the waves of their attack. On their way back, Iris asks if she will be their Uber driver from now on. He recalls that dragons can use magic to take human form and study with them at the academy. Before entering the city, Iris raises her concerns, claiming she has no clue about human society. The two girls speak up, saying their academy already has one weirdo. Maddie affirms this fact, but doesn't know the name of this weirdo they are talking about. On that note, Iris takes a human form without any clothes. Before Maddie can have a good look, Lurie gets jealous and shuts his eyes. Upon returning, Maddie presents Edward with Erhard's horns as evidence of their achievements. Edward can't believe he traveled thousands of miles to slay the demon and returned within days. At this rate, the king would have to give him the throne since the treasury is already empty. Maddie then tells Edward to accept Iris as a transfer student. He immediately respects her for being recommended by him. However, he will not show her nepotism because of that. She will also clear the transfer student entrance exam. Maddie agrees with his decision on the condition that they will watch over him just in case. He knows that Iris lacks control in her human form, meaning the whole academy will be in ashes before she's done with it. Firstly, she sits down for the writing exam and her dragon weirdness far reaches beyond Maddie's imagination. Afterwards, she faces off against Guile, the knight commander whose recent job is to get schooled by teenagers. She mistakenly drops her sword and calls it quits. Guile, being an airhead, attacks from behind. Iris catches the sword like it's from the dollar store and holds him in the air. Thankfully, Maddie casts a protective spell on him before Iris scores a home run on his butt. Lastly, Iris is required to hit the puny targets with a simple spell. She casts a fire spell at the target, but it makes a U-turn without warning, forcing Maddie to step in. After a few tries, she blows the entire training ground, creating a crater for him to fix. After everything is settled, Maddie and Edward take a sneak peek at their mining efforts. However, they still don't have enough crests of glory to refine the ore. He tells the headmaster to ask the rich kids from the first academy for help, giving them a taste of real life. Later that day, the headmaster comes to the second academy to give a lecture on respecting your superiors. He wanted Edward to come growling for his help since the sheer number of first crest students at their academy is greater. Edward claims that crest rankings should be re-evaluated, especially after the inter-academy competition. The loudmouth says the competition was rigged. Maddie realizes that logical thinking is outside of his league. He offers to hold the tournament again to prove who's superior. The first headmaster agrees with his idea, but forbids this beast party from participating. On the day of the exam, the first academy shamelessly gathers all of their students bearing the first crest. Initially, Maddie wanted to send Iris, but his senses didn't pick up any threats. Soon, the 5 students competing from the second academy's side enter the battle. The first academy headmaster laughs at their situation. Maddie intentionally handpicked 2 participants with the second crest, 2 with the third crest, and 1 with the crest of failure. As the match begins, the first academy mob starts chanting the spell like NPCs. The second academy students use this extra time to wipe them out with a fatality. The first headmaster reminds them that no beasts were allowed to participants. Edward claims all of their students have powers a bit inferior to those on the ground. The beta headmaster makes excuses for losing and chooses Iris as their next opponent. The headmaster inspects her weapon before fighting. Iris draws the sword and bends it like candy, leaving the headmaster in shambles. Edward then asks why the first academy students were using incantations rather than wordless spell casting as the king ordered. He wants to keep his tradition alive even if it means going against the king. Unbeknownst to him, the king hears this NPC spouting nonsense and orders the knight to arrest him. Afterwards, the king orders the students of the first academy to help with Maddie's venture in whatever way possible. On that note, his party ventures deep into the dungeon to collect mats for the barrier. The girls ask if they are going to look for Mithril. However, he wants to find the perfect magic stone, which is at least 27 inches wide. Maddie shows dark humor to the darkness dragon, claiming her would be 31 inches wide, scaring the living shit out of her. The girl panics, asking if he would really lay her wide open. He calms them down, saying there's a better, more efficient way to do things. During their walk, the girls slay various beasts, showing him the results of their training. Unfortunately, Iris is just a wreck of a person. She can't control a bit of her powers and her attacks can kill him any time. The girls are excited to reach the 17th floor for the first time. But Iris thinks it's not impressive since a person she knew went down to the 654th floor by himself. Ultimately, Maddie finds the perfect place for summoning a monster. He places a large magic stone in the center and asks Luri to create a casting circle. She finds it difficult, but with Maddie's assistance from behind, the casting circle is created. For some fudged-up reason, he asks Iris to slowly pour her mana into the stone. Naturally, her concept of slowness is different from humans. She jumpstarts the magic stone, creating flames of magic energy. He calls her out, telling her to bring it down a notch. But Iris misunderstands his words and increases the flow. She summons a calamity-class dragon that makes the 17th floor collapse. He informs everyone that this dragon will provide them with the necessary mats. He whispers a plan into Iris' ears, keeping the rest out of the loop. In dragon language, she rules the red dragon by calling him a winged lizard who looks like a vegan activist. The dragon loses his stuff over this and starts chasing Iris. Maddie tells the girls that Iris offended the dragon by asking its gender and not using its pronouns. He wants them to quit drooling and attack with enhanced arrows. As everyone distracts the dragon, Maddie sets up a casting circle with magic stones in between them. Suddenly, the dragon shifts its attention towards the girls, making them shit their panties. He tells Iris to protect the girls. She then punches the heck out of it and sends it flying into the wall. The two dragons then duke it out the old-fashioned UFC way. As a creature of habit, Iris tries to block the dragon's attack from above despite Maddie's advice to dodge. She gets pummeled into the ground because the groundwork of the dungeon was done with cheap materials. After climbing back up, she asks Maddie why the dragon isn't using his breath attack. He reveals that his magic is interfering with the spell. From the start of the battle, he knew that arrows or swords wouldn't defeat it. Maddie sets up his attack and asks Luri and Alma to escape. He also tells Iris to draw the dragon's attention and make it use the dragon's breath. The minute it activates the spell, Maddie reveals his hidden plan. He uses the destructive power of the dragon's breath to make it self-destruct. Unfortunately, Iris falls into the same ground hole, forcing Maddie to shield her from the explosion. In doing so, he is thrown 300 meters away, but something like that doesn't faze him. On that note, Iris brings him the desired size of magic stone from the dragon's corpse. He realizes that Iris will be a perfect addition to his party. After returning to the surface, he prepares a training ground for Iris to practice moving under extreme conditions. She needs to dodge Alma's attack on the basket placed on her head. In the meantime, Maddie assigns Luri to make his weapon. He wants her to use Mithril and Dragon Fang as the base components. As for enchantments, he lists out 8 different spells needed to make the sword effective. Luri freaks out at his request, claiming 8 enchantments are impossible to cast. Maddie explains that layering the mats in the perfect order would allow her to achieve great results. With that, she creates mind-boggling weapons for everyone that can destroy entire buildings with one blow. At night, Edward gathers 2nd Academy and 1st Academy students to announce that Maddie is working on the barrier. He will be too busy to deal with small fries on the front lines, meaning they need to act as human shields and buy time. On the other hand, Maddie and his party receive news of demonic signals near the capital. He realizes it's a teleportation spell used by demons to infiltrate their territory. However, his attention is occupied with creating protection, and so the two girls will need to investigate and take out the demons. Maddie motivates them with a ChatGPT speech, claiming they can complete the mission. A cute side character leads them to the origins of the signal. She realizes that Maddie rides them every night, increasing their stamina for running. Before heading out, Maddie told Luri to continue making arrows with the same spell. However, the choice of enchantments is left to the flow of battle. She must keenly observe the situation and make tiptoe decisions. She conjures 3 magical heroes with confidence in her ability. Alma assures her that their quality is top-notch. She proves their worth by killing a demon with 1 shot. Seconds later, the 2nd demon comes through the teleportation area. However, he doesn't hold much ground against Alma. The two celebrate their first successful dispatch, but the side chick is glad about being alive. Suddenly, they feel magic fluctuation coming from the capital. They return to Maddie's side and learn that demons have activated an advanced teleportation spell. He believes their target is the 2nd Academy. Alma and Luri need to buy him enough time to finish the barrier and enter the battle. They rush to the academy, anticipating the enemy's arrival. Edward gives Luri a mountain of magic stones from Maddie. She realizes he wants her to use the magic stone to create special arrows. Moments later, the first demon arrives from the teleportation gate. The demon casts a large-scale fire spell to clean the trash. Unexpectedly, the one thought to be weak students block the attack with Maddie's spell. The 2nd Crest's mages attack the demon, but it's out of their range. Alma's attacks reach the demon, but the arrows are ineffective. During the battle, Luri tries to make an arrow using the magic stone. However, maintaining the casting circle without Maddie's assistance, the demon continues to attack with higher magical spells, making it difficult for the students to defend. However, they believe that Luri will cast the perfect spell for them to win. This motivates her to give it all and succeed in creating the arrow. Alma first shoots, but the demon swiftly dodges it. She changes its direction and hits it from the back, allowing the other mages to finish the job. The students celebrate their first victory against a demon without Maddie's assistance. However, their celebratory mood is ruined when a demon army appears in the sky. The students instantly lose hope of surviving the battle, but Alma puts all the men with so-called balls to shame by standing against them. She claims they need to buy enough time for Maddie to arrive, reviving everyone's confidence. At that moment, he arrives on the scene and kills a background demon. His aura tells the leader of demons that Maddie is no ordinary human. Their exchange makes people think that they are neck and neck. But seconds later, he slays every enemy in the air, proving his plot armor. Afterward, he thanks everyone for giving him time to finish the preparation. However, the barrier is not completely finished. He left the rest of the things up to Iris. The entire student army reaches the barrier site where Iris applies the final touches by inserting the magic stone in the demon pillar. The barrier goes up without a problem. However, Maddie says there is a but coming at the end of the sentence. He explains that the demon pillar sucked all the energy from the capital's magical vein and became more lethal. In short, they will be fighting 10,000 monsters instead of 5. Minutes later, everyone gathers at the front lines for the battle. Edward wants them to protect the small towns, not inside the barrier. When the battle begins, the Second Academy students show great resolve, casting wordless magic left and right. The traps set by Maddie before the battle help them in the fight. Maddie knows these low-level monsters can't compare to the new and improved version of Second Academy. However, the second wave will be too much for them to handle. They teleport to the front lines and order everyone to fall back. He throws Iris on one of the giant monsters, telling her to take the lead. Taking out low-level monsters isn't much of a problem for her, but unexpectedly, a floor boss-type monster gets summoned to the area. Maddie explains that absorption-type monsters grow by feeding on other monsters. The girls want to defeat it before it grows. However, he's looking forward to the mats its corpse will provide. Plus, the floor boss will clear out a mob of other low-level monsters, saving his time and effort. Moments later, he notices that the monster's evolution is on the weak end. Maddie asks Luri to engrave a casting circle onto a magic stone and throw it at it. He takes 4 magic stones to help the monster evolve into a powerful version. Unexpectedly, it takes the form of a dragon, which scares the girl. Thankfully, Maddie is getting the hang of fighting with the 4th crest. He blinds the monster to make it angry. Afterward, he uses the secret enchantments with magic stones to cut out his legs. Surprisingly, the monster regenerates its limbs, leaving them in a puzzle. Frustrated, Maddie launches a repetitive attack that will only stop if his opponent dies or his magic power depletes. This creates an opening for him to jump and slash his neck. In the aftermath of the battle, he tells Edward about leaving the academy to explore dungeons around the area. The headmaster wishes to use his name to start a new scholarship program and inspire talents like him to join them. In exchange, Maddie and his party's name will remain in the directory, allowing the kingdom to intervene on their behalf. On their journey, they meet a little admirer who never saw a group of adventurers traveling in school uniforms. Maddie tells him they are going to explore a dungeon. The girls are also excited to have some alone time with him. However, he reminds them that pleasure will come after business. The girls reveal that Melia is a dungeon with hundreds of floors. But still, in principle, a dungeon city is a safe place. Maddie and Iris can't believe humans built entire cities on dangerous dungeons. He wants to cut their travel time and reach the city in one day by traveling through the forest. The girls claim that the forest is filled with intelligent monsters, but seconds later realize they just added more fuel to the fire, raising his curiosity. After walking the entire morning, Maddie advises his party to set up camp. The girls want to use their rations from the storage spell. However, he objects to this and plans to catch the local delicacies in the area. On that note, he runs off into the forest seeking a powerful monster to defeat. He senses monsters walking in a straight line, but one hides its power. Moments later, an intelligent species of monster monkey sneaks attack him from behind. Naturally, Maddie deals with the threat without breaking a sweat. He returns with the monkey's corpse and asks them to eat it. He assumes the girls might develop some brain cells after consuming it. However, the girls make that vomiting face, forcing him to reveal another monster. At this point, the girls think they can eat whatever monster they kill, but Maddie claims the boar-type monster is a rich delicacy. Luri collects iron dust from the ground to make an iron pot. Iris makes use of her superhuman strength to gather fire food. In the meantime, Alma decides to collect aromatic herbs only to cause an explosion. Once the dish is cooked, they hesitate to put his meat into their mouth, but Iris goes all out. Ultimately, they reach the bleak dungeon city of Melia. Alma can't believe it's a shady city in incognito mode. Suddenly, a street lamp turns on to welcome them. Maddie realizes it's Directory using the Dragon Vein's power to light up. A local man quickly warns them to escape, as the lamps cause an explosion which has already killed 10 people. Unfortunately, it explodes before they can move. The man claims their city used magic stones to power their magical tools like normal people. However, the new lord exports their supply of magic stones, leaving none for the people. This aside, Maddie wants to know why the city looks like a deserted island from Castaway. The man tells him that most adventurers have been sent into the dungeon to fight a strange monster that appeared on the 10th floor. They continue their journey and learn that adventurers require a permit to enter a dungeon. On their way, Maddie says the lord is a money-grubbing ignorant whose knowledge is equivalent to a grain of rice. He claims that inexperienced adventurers fighting together will just cause unnecessary death. His party gets strange eyes from the adults upon entering the guild. He asks the guild lady for a permit to explore the dungeon. She advises him against his decision, revealing that the lord is in charge of assigning the permits. Once every month, the lord issues an absurd task to the adventurers, causing hundreds of casualties. At that moment, a girl barges in the room, claiming the new mission from the lord has caused many injuries. She begs for a healer to lend their assistance. However, the adults know there is no healer at the guild. Maddie raises his hand, claiming he is the healer they need. She takes his party to the hall filled with injured people. For a moment, he is shaken to see the atrocities and asks why there are a handful of healers in Melia. The lady informs him their lord considers healers as unnecessary luxuries, and thus he drives them away. Nonetheless, Maddie gathers himself and surveys the area with a passive search spell. He assigns numbers to the patients in order of urgency. Maddie tends to be the most severe case, but the adult healers question his ability. Their views get more biased once the crests of failure appear on his hand. However, he claims that the 4th crest is perfect for healing serious wounds. He individually repairs his blood vessels and organs like the wound was never there. The doctors respect his talent and follow his orders to help the patients in numerical order. The healers work for hours without end but save everyone's lives. He goes outside to catch his thoughts, believing the demons have forgotten his lessons about their own business from 5,000 years ago. He assumes demons killed the previous lord and placed their man on top of NPCs to collect magic stones. The party crashes into an inn for the night. There, Maddie writes a letter to Edward regarding the city's state. He uses another letter as a disguise. He believes a customs officer inspects the letter before sending it out. In the middle of the night, Lurie and Maddie start feeling the heat of sleeping in the same room. Their V-cards are begging to be broken. However, both of them can't make a move. Just like that, they spend the whole night awake while the other 2 girls sleep like infants. The following morning, Alma and Iris wake up fresh as a fruit. At the same time, Lurie and Maddie act like the deadbeats. Lurie lies about not sleeping all night, but Alma catches her red-handed, knowing what she and Maddie have been up to. Maddie looks at the door and claims it's just some metal junk. He tells the girls that a monster could break through at any time. They spend the entire morning defeating powerful monsters, causing casualties, and return with their corpses. The guild lady can't believe her eyes seeing the monster's head on her table. However, she can't pay them without a lord's approval. Maddie sneaks up on her writing a report about their party. She assumes the 3 girls are beasts while he is just a misery healer. Once done with it, he asks her to pay them for the rest of the mats. On their celebratory dinner, Maddie starts to notice eyes on his party. His plan is perfectly set in motion with the lord trying to off him. In an attempt to flesh out the truth, he takes the girls into a shady alleyway, claiming it's a shortcut to their inn. In truth, Maddie uses a telepathy spell to fill them in on the details about the lord's men following them. He wants them to act like scaredy cats to learn about the enemy's motives using concealment spell. They give men a heart attack from behind and ask for their direction. They claim their inn is on the other side. Maddie then asks which VPN they are using to spy on them. Suddenly, the men take him hostage, assuming that the healer is the most pushed character in a party. He takes this opportunity to test out his awful acting skills, failing to convince the girls. On that note, he forbids Iris from using any weapons and asks to destroy them. One by one, she gently punches the shit out of them and sends them flying. The last man reminds her that Maddie is still under his control, but his mic is muted. After going to the inn, he receives a letter from the king informing him about his proxy in Melia. They choose a remote location away from the lord's eyes to catch up. The girls are looking for a proxy. Maddie asks him to come out of the shadows. The proxy realizes why the king and Edward respect his abilities. The night Ake reads the king's message to him, ordering his party to arrest the lord. Ake wants to call for backup, but Maddie says to leave it to him and his party. The following morning, his party meets with Ake outside the lord's hidden mansion. They find it weird that the gate is closed in the morning. With a quick search spell, Maddie finds magical signals inside the mansion ready for their attack. Ake advises them to retreat and wait for backup. However, he thinks it will be disrespectful to turn back when the lord prepared such a lavish welcome party. They barge in through the front door and are immediately attacked by tons of spells. Luri's improved casting speed allows her to cast a barrier before the spells reach them. Mag responds in kind by defeating everyone in a single spell, leaving Ike with a headache. They venture deep into the mansion where Ike informs them about the area's layout. He claims that the Lord's bedroom is upstairs, but Maddie knows the culprits are hiding in the basement. He finds a secret opening that leads to the basement. First, the Lord assumes Maddie is some poor kid working under his belt. He is surprised that the person trying to kill him doesn't even know his face. Seconds later, Ike and his party come out of the shadows. He reads him the royal decree from the king announcing his arrest. Before getting knocked out by Maddie, the Lord says the city will be in ruins once they arrest him. However, Maddie is more interested in learning about his spy. He finds a letter sent to the Lord in which a demon told him about the royal proxy coming to arrest him. He realizes the demons are using him to get their hands on the dragon's vein where all magic flows. Suddenly, a terrifying earthquake shakes the ground. He also senses a horde of monsters summoned by the dragon's vein magic and heads towards the city. Maddie claims they need to fix the dragon's vein, otherwise a worldwide calamity would hit them. But the girls are more worried about low-level monsters destroying the city. They rush into the dungeon and find the dragon's vein with Eris's Minecraft skills. Unexpectedly, Luri senses that the vein is infected with demonic magic. He compliments her sensitivity to magic and thus leaves the issue to the girls. In the meantime, Maddie decides to find the demons and dispose of the trash. He sets up a communication spell using the dragon's vein, allowing them to talk without restraints on distance. On his way to the lower flows, Maddie keeps tabs on Luri, hoping she doesn't blow the town. He keeps reminding her to take things slow and steady. Upon finding the demon, he notices a magical fluctuation in its mana due to a communication spell. He taps into the frequency with Magic Align only to learn a master is pulling his strings. The mysterious demons tell nobody that Maddie can't be in two places at once. He asks him to kill Maddie and deal with his party messing with the dragon's vein. After learning about this demon, he gets excited and hopes for a decent fight in the future. He casts multiple enchantments on the blade and attacks first. Unexpectedly, there's a barrier around the demon which deflects all attacks. The barrier was the backseat driver's idea as he is aware of his crest's power in close combat. The demon baits Maddie into closing the distance between them. At that moment, he unleashes a barrage of long-range attacks, forcing Maddie to focus on defense. The demon is agitated by his agility in battle. However, Maddie claims he isn't just dodging his attacks but countering it with multiple spells simultaneously. The shock of the attack reaches Luri and the others, making them worry about Maddie's health. He calms her down and asks for 2 specific spells to be cast on the dragon's vein. The leader tells him to end the fight with the trap they set prior to the battle. Thanks to him hacking their spell, Maddie learns about the traps and counters it with Luri's hidden spells. Momentarily, he disrupts the comms in the area, making the demon drive in the dark. He uses this time to unleash a barrage of spells which are deflected in an instant. The demon laughs at him for slamming his head against the wall. Suddenly, one of his attacks shatters the barrier, leaving him confused. Maddie explains that his strategy was right in principle. However, the barrier he chose was his biggest life mistake. It needs half a second to recharge after blocking an attack, giving him enough time to shatter it. The demon panics and calls his mother demon to inform him about the situation. The demon asks his boss whether Maddie is the reincarnation of Gaius. His argument is thrown in the bin, as the mastermind claims he would be dead 10 times over if it was Gaius. Maddie is surprised to hear that an ancient demon knows about his past life. Now he is really excited to fight this monster. With no choice left, he is forced into activating the life-sacrificing spell, but it doesn't take Maddie long to unleash an attack, slicking his arms and head. On that note, he tries to hunt down the main demon's location. However, he taps into his telepathy spell with Luri to say hello. The demon dares him to find his current location. Maddie senses his presence coming from an old town, but knows it's just bait. Before disconnecting the Wi-Fi, he tells the demon that their fight will be no walk in the park. Afterward, he tells Luri that the horde of monsters vanishes due to her cleaning the dragon's veins. After the Melia problem is solved, Maddie and his team investigate the IP address the demon leader was using to disguise his location. Unbeknownst to the demon leader, Maddie had already copied his magical signal in a stone. Now he must find a tracking device used thousands of years ago to locate the demon. The girls ask how he knows about a device used so long ago. Luckily, he bounces back from the slip-up, claiming it randomly popped up on his Explore page. Nonetheless, he unrolls the world map to find a country where the device is found. They need to head back to the capital and ask the king to mediate on their behalf. Maddie and his party are eager to see the changes made to the city. However, they don't find the second academy at its address. After exploring the area, they come across a notice stating the new second academy building is under construction. Edward reveals they will fortify this second academy for beast mode training sessions. In the meantime, the classes will be attended in the first academy to teach them Respect 101. Edward escorts them into his office where Maddie tells him about the demon threat in Melia. He reports that a fierce demon is controlling the pieces from the shadows. However, to find this threat, his party needs to travel to another country. Luckily, most of the border countries are their allies. On that note, Maddie offers to help in the construction until the king prepares their document. He informs Edward about replacing iron pills with mithril. At the same time, Lurie enchants the building materials to increase their strength and efficiency. However, Iris makes a mess of things as always. After a few days, Edward gives him a permit to pass the borders and a voucher from the king. The local guild master will join them to provide any information or assistance for his party to complete their mission. They easily pass the border, but the problem has just begun. Maddie explains that the device they need is located in a restricted area. Their party must at least be A-rank adventurers or above to gain immediate access. Maddie reveals they need to dominate the adventure rank-up test and reach rank A, or they could just let Iris run rampant on the restricted area and use that opportunity to sneak in. After reaching the local guild, they meet the guild master who allows them to skip the lower-ranking exams and register for A rank. However, this is the only thing he can help them with. The exam is a mock battle with a predetermined proctor assigned by the guild. Suddenly, Gilluis enters the room, shocking the guild master. He is the proctor replacing an NPC because he had stomach pain. The guild master reveals that Gilluis is an S-rank adventurer who hasn't passed a single person in the Ascension exam. Gilluis claims that those whack jobs didn't deserve to become A-rank, catching Maddie's curiosity. At the training ground, Gilluis unexpectedly passes the three girls and challenges Maddie to a fight. Gilluis has been rusty for too long since a demon slayer prodigy doesn't arrive every day. Maddie also wants to see what it takes to reach S-rank in this new age. Lurie can't imagine Maddie losing a duel. However, the guild master claims the same for Gilluis. It is rumored that he never lost a duel, making Alma a little worried. Before the match begins, Gilluis states the usual rules for a duel. He allows Maddie to cast any spells if it will help in his performance. While he doesn't need to use magic, a declaration confuses him. Judging from his magic signal, Maddie was sure Gilluis was a sword spell user like him. He draws his sword and instinctively uses the physical enhancement spell. Maddie stays on the defensive to observe his moves. Gilluis naturally applies multiple enactments on his body without knowing. At this point, Maddie understands that Gilluis is a magical prodigy who can cast spells without concentration. The girls are shocked to see that a human is holding up his own against Maddie, but the guild master is amazed at seeing Maddie going toe-to-toe with Gilluis. After exchanging blows, Gilluis realizes Maddie is holding back. He confirms his suspicions to piss him off. Maddie jumps in the air to use his signature footing techniques. However, Gilluis dodges his attack and pushes him back. Judging by his signals, he senses that Gilluis' magical energy is getting stronger due to hitting a wall. Gilluis shows his sharp instincts by copying Maddie's signature move to launch an attack from above. He laughs, assuming the battle is over. However, Maddie clears the miss with a sword swing. Using physical enhancements, he attacks and throws him into the wall. Eventually, Gilluis realizes the power gap between them and gives up. He asks Maddie about becoming as strong as him. He takes out a textbook he wrote a while back about spell casting. Maddie tells Klaus that his casting speed and strength lack refinement. He wonders what would have happened if he could consciously use spells. Gilluis claims standing around and chanting spells leaves oneself open for attacks. Maddie agrees with his claims but reveals chanting spells is a thing of the past. On that note, he opens the book, which gives him a huge headache. After jumping to A rank, they head out to the restricted area. Gilluis warns them about the city, claiming it has very weird vibes. The security at the checkpoints has been tightened, and according to rumors, adventuring parties have gone missing. Maddie and his party pass through the first checkpoint without any problems. The guards give them 3 passes that work on the main roads. After walking a while, Maddie reveals there is a code embedded on the passes. The code states that 4 high-ranking adventurers are coming their way with unknown motives and should be killed. The worrisome part for him is that the demons use this technique to pass secret messages. Seconds later, a group of people start approaching them from the mountains. He stops Iris from making a rash move to avoid making a mess. He wants Lurie and Alma to sneak up on the group to put them to sleep. He starts overacting, making the crew attack them. Iris gets tired by the endless arrows and decides to fight back. Maddie sticks his foot out to make her fall and remember the plan. This gives the girls enough time to sneak up on them and use chloroform fog. Moments later, Maddie and Iris find them dozing off due to the effects of the fog. They are the type of dealers who consume their own shit before dealing. Before Maddie can wake them, Iris draws a big tool on Alma's face. Rise and shine. He tells them to look at the instruction manual before using a device. The party then heads into the city, which feels normal at sight. Iris detects the faint magic of demons in the area. He reveals there are 30 demons inside the city. Plus, they have concealed their presence as humans to blend in the city. Luri remembers that demons don't work well together. Maddie compliments her for remembering his lessons. However, he reveals that the demons in the city are actually demi-humans. These lower versions of demons don't have exclusive spells for them. This is the reason demi-demons work together to defeat their enemies. Since there are 30 demons, Maddie avoids barging through the front door. He finds a sewer entrance to reach the inner part of the city without getting noticed. Deep inside, a mouse scares the soul inside Luri, causing her to instinctively hug Maddie from behind. His tool loves this sudden experience, but Alma breaks them up with a slight cough. As their journey continues, Maddie senses a demon nearby. He casts a spell on his body, allowing him to pass through walls. After sneaking up the demon, he fudges up with his senses and tells the girls to pass quietly. Iris intends on drawing a crying emoji on his face, but Maddie tells her to keep her inner Picasso inside. After entering the city, the girls get satanic vibes walking through the city. They know Melchior is desolated, but this is on a whole other level. They watch the locals in a trance state, walking on the streets like dummies. Maddie senses the distortion in their magical sensation. He stops one of the locals and discovers a thought-paralyzing spell cast on them. Upon observing their behavior, Maddie and his party get in line to enter the factory. He realizes the demons are working them for some end goal. Before the workers go inside, the demons recast thought paralyzes. He casts a mind-shielding spell on everyone to avoid being affected. However, they must act like zombies until their food is in the door. Naturally, Iris trips over at important times, raising the demon's suspicion. Luckily, he assumes someone overdid the spell, which messed up her head. Maddie doesn't know how they passed the inspection, but thanks God for it. They discover a large mining operation of explosive magic crystals. Maddie explains that 1 ton of this stuff with 100% purity can destroy an entire kingdom. However, it will take decades for them to gather that many magic stones. Still, they can't keep this operation running for too long. Later at night, he wonders if the demon leader is the mastermind behind this operation. Nonetheless, Maddie decides to defeat the demons in the area before the next dawn. Unfortunately, their shared consciousness will make it difficult for them to fight one-on-one. The girls ask if they will fight them at once, but Maddie claims that will be a definite suicide mission more suited for the Suicide Squad isekai, although he has a plan in mind that will make them regret teaming up with each other. A moment later, a large magical signal appears in Area 51 of the city. The commander orders all nearby demi-demons from Areas 50 and 52 to investigate. However, they are left confused after seeing a small girl in the middle of the streets. Maddie takes this opportunity to sneak up on a demon and chop off its head. Another demon encounters an explosion trap, creating panic among the demons. They assume the enemy has set traps for them all over town. But Maddie keeps jumping in and out of the shadows to pick one demon at a time. Before this mess had started, he informed the girls that Eris's magical signal was masked by his spell. They will use her signal to draw the demon in one place. While Iris plays the decoy, Maddie will pick and choose the demons and kill them. Iris feels like shit playing the decoy for him. However, he patronizes her into believing it is an important job. In the present, Iris goes rogue for a moment and takes out a demon with a single hit. Maddie and the girls work together to distract a demon with an explosion spell, allowing him to slice its head off. He had planned to use an explosion to make the demons think that there are traps set all over the city. They use detection spells but can't find the girls due to their concealment spell. Their teamwork continues to kill demons like flies, leaving the demon leader confused. He steps down from the rooftop to postmortem a body. He learns they are being killed with a sword instead of explosions. The commander realizes the assassin is using divide and conquer to kill them. He orders the other demons to gather in one place, assuming the killer is protecting them. The commander tells them to use the explosive magic crystals to burn down the city. Some of the demons worry about their labor. However, the leader claims they can always find more humans for the job. Suddenly, one of the demons is killed by Giluuz, who wants to check things out. At the same time, Maddie catches his signal and rushes to the site. He is impressed to see that Giluuz is going to fight alone. He manages to kill a few demons left and right, but the situation gets serious. Iris gets tired of playing the decoy and throws a bunch of demons in the air. Maddie takes this god-gifted opportunity to slice them like Fruit Ninja. Ultimately, only the commander of demons is left. Giluuz asks Maddie to let him handle it on his own. He uses Recoil Thunderbolt to slash the demon, leaving Maddie impressed. Unexpectedly, Giluuz can use the spell 2 times in a row, but the toll on his body is expensive. As dawn approaches, both unleash their ultimate attacks, with Giluuz coming out as a victor. Giluuz calls Maddie and the girls, asking to cast a healing spell on him. Suddenly, the demon's corpse gets reanimated with glowing red eyes. Maddie senses him coming to attack the girls but manages to stop his attack. Unexpectedly, the demon boss controls the corpses and compliments the demon-layering hero for his feats. He reveals that his seal will be unlocked soon, leading to his resurrection. Both look forward to fighting with each other, knowing their respective powers. Maddie tells the girls that this demon boss can't keep his hands to himself and likes to take over other bodies. At this point, Julius calls him out again, yelling at him to cast healing magic, otherwise his bum will be in the grave. Eventually, the mob gathers around them, confused as to what is happening. The girls inform Julius that thought paralysis has worn off after the demon's death. He calms them down, saying everything will be under his control. He announces himself as the leader of this city until the officials aren't decided. Julius explains that high-ranking adventurers can take control of cities if the officials are not available. He asks the factory leader to come forward and appoints him as the lord of the town. Afterward, Julius gives Maddie an official permit from the guild, allowing them to enter the restricted area. With his help, his party reaches the ancient ruins without any problems. These ruins are vague like the stone tablets, leaving the girls confused. Iris wants to destroy the hidden entrance with her raw strength. However, Maddie reminds her that he made these ruins with sturdy materials. His magical signature unlocks the hidden door, leading the party inside. Maddie tells them to scrounge for treasure and magic items since it's an ancient ruin. Before he knows it, Luri finds a sword that he made after pulling an all-nighter. He made the sword look good and nothing else. Alma brings back a heavy spear even though she can't wield it. She thought it would be the best weapon for Iris. However, Maddie claims that a single misstep with that weapon would evaporate its wielder in a nearby area. Just then, the troublemaker Iris with a food-preserving box arrives. She eagerly opened it, releasing smells in the air worse than her breath. On that note, he activates the tracking device and places it away from the factory. He learns that the magical signals are from the same demon boss. Using the magic stone, he casts the wide-range detect spell, running the machine at its full power. Unfortunately, Maddie discovers that the demon in question is Zardas and his seal is about to be broken. Maddie claims that their party can't defeat this demon in their current state. They would have to cast immortality spells on themselves and train for centuries. After defeating Zardas, they would have had to work on rebuilding human society because by then most of humanity would be destroyed. Alma wonders if there is a weapon in the world strong enough to defeat Zardas. This reminds him about a sword created by his former self. He uses the dummy sword to search for similar magic signals. The sword Maddie is looking for is in the castle of their kingdom. At the same time, the seal of Zardas breaks, allowing him to roam free. During the ride, Maddie gives them 2 magic stones to the girls that will allow them to find the sword. They must break into the castle storage room and find the sword. Suddenly, they feel a surge of magic signals which makes Iris tremble in fear. He wonders if Zardas would catch up to them before the sword is in his hands. Before jumping off, the girls speak words of motivation, knowing Maddie is nervous about the fight. As expected, it lifts his confidence and gives him a way of victory. The girls fall over the second academy but realize that they don't have the spell to break the barrier. The girls start to freak out like crazy birds. However, Maddie's magic stones had an enhancement, allowing them to pass. After landing, they rush towards the castle without wasting a second. At the same time, he prepares a spell to warmly welcome Zardas. He knows that Zardas will be approaching using the demon's teleportation spell. He wants to seal the space itself before buying them more time. Unfortunately, the Zardas appear before expected. Maddie attacks the portal, but the spell needed more time to be effective. He wants Iris to unleash one dragon's breath and then fall back, making sure that Zardas knows that Iris, the darkness dragon, is here. However, he brushes the attack off like dandruff on his shoulder, leaving Maddie questioning his cheat skills. Zardas launches a counterattack aimed for Iris. He casts multiple shield spells to stop it, but are shattered instantly. In the meantime, the girls reach the storage room in the castle. They try to explain the situation to the NPC. However, he thinks they are a couple of bandits trying to steal a bunch of useless stuff. Many knights surround them to capture them. Luckily, the king arrives on the scene to give them entry in the treasury. Outside, Maddie boldly fights Zardas, trying to stall for time. However, some of his attacks push through and injure him, forcing Iris to jump in. He realizes that fighting for time is the only thing possible, but his chances for winning are getting lower by the second. After searching for a while, Luri finds an old beat-up box matching the signal on the magic stone. She opens it up to unveil an extraordinary blade emitting a magic power the girls have never seen before. On the other hand, Maddie continues his futile struggle to hold back the demon. Zardas realizes his strategy and unleashes a wide-range attack on the barrier. Naturally, Maddie is forced to protect the kingdom with all of his magic power. However, this allows Zardas to sneak up on him. He knows that his companions are preparing to defeat him inside the barrier. Plus, his subordinates can't infiltrate the damn thing even if they wanted to. Lucky for him, Zardas tells Maddie that there are demons inside the capital who were there before the barrier was erected. Meanwhile, the girls rush to give him the sword, but a familiar demon from before blocks their way. They dispatch him with the same moves, showing that dumb fudges remain that way forever. Still, their way is not clear, as another demon blocks their path with two hostages. He asks them to hand over whatever is in the bag or else the two background characters die. Outside the barrier, Zardas reveals the demon corpses inside the capital were resurrected by his power. He ordered them to kill everyone in the Second Academy and his party. Afterward, he unleashes another attack on the barrier, forcing Maddie to retreat and protect it with multiple layers. Unexpectedly, the attack deflects and flies in Eris's direction, forcing Maddie to protect her and lower his defense. This allows Zardas to land a powerful strike on him. He advises him to abandon the dead weight and fight him seriously. At this point in the battle, some stupid thoughts come into Maddie's mind. He thinks that using his life force to cast a reincarnation spell is his only option, but it would mean the end of this civilization. Maddie smiles and remembers the girls and thinks fighting is the best option. Meanwhile, Edward and the Second Academy arrive to rescue the girls from a prickly situation. They bind the demon using light magic, allowing them to escape with the sword. In the meantime, Maddie intends on unleashing a combination attack with Iris, but Zardas forces her to transform back into her human form. She falls right in front of Alma and Luri, telling them to hand over the sword quickly. Maddie turns his back on Zardas to catch the sword. Unexpectedly, Zardas drives his blade into Maddie's chest. The girls are shocked to see that some random demon killed their MC, but his magical signal disappears, leading him to fall. Suddenly, Maddie's magic power starts to shoot through the roof. He explains that his sword activates once its wielder is dead. One of its abilities is complete revival. Using the sword, Maddie defeats the demon with one slash. Before dying, Zardas reveals that there are other chaos demons in the world, and the others, one will defeat him for sure. Luri tightly hugs him like her usual self. The excitement makes his blood gush out of his wounds. Eventually, Maddie stands on his feet and unleashes the excess magic power in the blade, destroying a nearby mountain. After a few days, Maddie gets back on his feet as good as new. He overhears Luri and Alma at the door. They are scared to disturb him into his sleep and decide to stay at the door. Unexpectedly, Iris scares them from behind and asks why they are not going in. In the meantime, Maddie opens the door, causing the three of them to fall. Together, they visit the king and thank them for their assistance. The king jokes that refusing to let them enter would make the kingdom his enemy. He knows that Maddie doesn't like land or title, so instead he allows them another look in the treasury. Alma is excited to take some treasure and sell them for quick cash. They go inside the treasury, but as before, Maddie thinks everything is a bunch of trash. He sees an arrow on Eric's head made from Wolverine's bones. He remembers that his former self created bow paired with the arrow, creating the perfect upgrade for Alma. The treasurer checks the list and confirms there was a bow with the arrow. However, due to its rustic condition, it wasn't kept in the treasury. Maddie fears that they might have thrown out the bow. The man reveals that the bow was sold to a trading company in the city. Maddie and his party visit the shop only to find it in a metal cube. They melted the bow and turned it into a box. He buys every metal cube in the shop, hoping to extract some rare minerals. At the same time, Iris asks for a shiny crystal. Alma calls him out and tells him to buy a stone for Luri as well. Late at night, he tells Luri to close her eyes and hangs a pendant on her neck. Gay has trained his entire life to reach the level of the strongest sage. However, his life started to get boring after he wiped out the demons and defeated most of the powerful dragons. He also conquered all the dungeons in the world, leaving nothing to be accomplished. Despite everything, Gaius couldn't get the crest of warrior class. To achieve this dream, he reincarnates himself 5,000 years into the future as Matthias. He gets the most powerful crests. However, the world around him believes the crest to be the weakest. Even the magical knowledge of this time has gone into the Stone Age, with people chanting spells like noobs. Matthias enrolls into the Second Academy of Magic to learn, but instead teaches them about the ancient spells. On his journey, he learns that demons have snuck into human society, forcing them to decline. With that, Matthias ventures on a journey to save the world once again with his new friends.